You're listening to the Woman of Value podcast. You are about to hear the story of a woman who is following her dreams and passions and creating positive change in the world. Dr. Amy Pearson is an integrative physician. She specializes in women's health, and she has over 14 years of experience working with women from the age of puberty through menopause. That's quite a span. She takes a really comprehensive approach to form an individualized program that's specific to every woman's needs and lifestyles. What does woman of value mean to you?
I think that women of value or a woman of value is someone who gives back. And that could be in whatever area that you prefer, but just someone who looks out for other people, someone who does something for the betterment of someone else. I specifically love to empower women as much as I can, whether that's just with a little bit of hope or recommendation or encouragement. It could be anything, but to me, a woman who has value or a woman of value is looking to uplift and help and encourage and give back to other people.
I love that. Yeah, to give back. And you mentioned the word empower, and I think that so many women feel disempowered, which is really so much of my mission and passion as well.
Yes.
And I know that you stepped into this new space of what you're doing now. So can you take us through that moment when you realized that you had to make a change?
Yeah. I had the traditional healthcare practice through managed healthcare that was the rat race, like we all are very familiar with. And I was just really burned out with it. In addition, I had an injury and there was just multiple life factors that were happening. I had a physical and I just didn't feel good. I didn't feel good from inside and out. And my primary care said, "You're fine. Everything looks fine." And I said, "I'm not fine. Something's not okay." So as I started looking into my own health, it really registered with me that moment that this is what I want to do. I want to help other women be heard. I want to help other women know that there are options. And if you feel that something is not okay, it probably isn't okay. Keep searching, find a way. So for me, I guess with my own health journey and just being burned out with, the successful practice that I had, that was my biggest aha moment that I need to start making changes, not only with my own life, but also with my career path. It was very enlightening. It was a little overwhelming and it was a little scary, but it all came together and I had such a peace with it that I really feel like I found my calling. I feel like I found my path.
Well, I can really see how you light up around this topic, and I definitely think you have found your calling.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I think that you're fine. Boy, that is so, it's infuriating when you know something's wrong and somebody else says you're wrong about that.
Yes.
So I'm glad that you pursued what could be wrong. And I think this is a problem with traditional medicine. Many times women in particular find that they're feeling off, and a doctor will say there's nothing wrong with you. And
Right.
then it grows and it becomes sometimes untreatable.
Absolutely. Then it becomes a bigger issue that then they can say, "Oh, now we'll treat you because something's really wrong."
Yeah. You don't want to get to that point.
No, not at all.
Yeah, I would love for you to share a story, like a transformative story of someone, if you have like a favorite patient story of somebody you helped through a situation like this.
I have many.
Good.
I feel like all of my patients I could talk about. It's the same song and dance. I feel that in general, women are not heard. I think that our health is a very unique set of circumstances that you really have to pay attention to, and it's very complex. And I think that not a lot of doctors in the traditional route really know how to understand, but also how to handle that. Many times the story that I get, I have a patient right now who said, I have been to so many doctors, I just feel junky all the time, I'm gaining weight in my stomach, and the same thing that I'm told is, oh, you're just too stressed. Well, what do you do with that? I mean, I can't quit my career, I can't leave my family, so how do you handle that, and really what's going on a deeper level? She came to me even after seeing several other integrated practitioners and said, no one has ever told me this. No one has ever made me feel like I was listened to. And I think that is key, is that something that I'm very passionate about, because that's my story, is I wasn't listened to. And that is what I feed off of, is to know that I am giving a woman, or anybody for that matter, an ear, and taking what they are saying to heart and digging deeper, looking deeper as to why you feel so bad. Another patient we were just speaking about came in and said, look, this is what I need to get done. I have a timeline and this is what I'm doing. And I've been reading on the internet and I'm supposed to be doing everything right, but why isn't it working? Because it's not working. It's not working for you. You have very unique needs as to how to accomplish that goal. So here, let me help you. Let's tweak some things. And she's been having great success in a very short amount of time. It's those stories that encourage me and inspire me and give me confirmation that what I'm doing is needed and necessary. So there's not just one patient. I mean, the two that I gave are, just two examples, but I feel like in general, just to give women especially an ear and know that they are heard and someone does understand and there is another way, and I will do everything I can to get to the bottom of it. So that's what feeds me. That's what feeds me.
I think everyone wants to be heard, and often, well, with the way medicine is run, especially in the United States, everything is so fast, and
Yep.
doctors just don't have time for bedside manner, for really spending time to get to know a patient, unfortunately.
Right.
And I personally, because of my experiences, I seek out doctors who hear me and who will agree to treat me in the way that I want to be treated.
Absolutely. And I just want to say for sure that when I speak of traditional healthcare, I'm not speaking of every aspect or every doctor. I think that there are some doctors who also still have that mentality that they are the end all be all and that they have all the answers. I think there are many, and the paradigm is shifting, that there are many who are looking to have more relationships, who are looking to encourage their patients to speak up. I think the biggest issue is just that many medical physicians are trained to think inside of a very small box, as opposed to looking outside of the box for more answers. If you only have certain numbers of blood work, well, you must be okay, as opposed to, well, it may be okay, but it's not great, and let's figure out why, for example, or they only have one way to fix it, with a pharmaceutical or surgery. And if they don't have a pharmaceutical, and if you're not someone who needs surgery, they're not really sure what to do with you. So I don't blame other physicians for, that standard of care. I think that's just what our healthcare has become. But I definitely see a shift. I absolutely see a shift in that it is doctors themselves are trying to move away from that, because they're recognizing people are getting upset, people are getting sicker, their patients aren't feeling better, and people are, starting to seek other ways to feel better. So I think that's a good thing.
I totally agree. And I thank you for bringing in that you're not blaming traditional doctors. And I certainly am not either. I do think there are many wonderful physicians, but I also think that the training is usually to just treat the kidneys, treat the heart, right, the symptoms, or to treat one part of the body and not look at the whole body. So the holistic approach, I mean, that's the way that I live my life. So I personally seek out people who will look at me holistically and not as a kidney or a heart, but as a person.
Exactly.
Yeah. So,
Has to be, because that is how the body works. Nothing works independent of something else. Everything is interconnected, and we need to stop treating just the symptoms or just one part, because that's not, to me, that's not quality care, because that's not the reality of how the body works. So yeah, I agree with you.
what have you seen as some of the things that are the most common things that people come to you for?
Oh goodness. I'm getting a lot of digestive issues, upset belly, irritable bowel, stuff like that. And a lot of it goes back to our food. I'm getting a lot of women who are coming in just, I'm tired all the time. I have no more libido. I'm not sleeping well. The typical menopause symptoms, or I just don't feel right. I don't feel like myself. I get that a lot. I just don't feel like myself. And then we look further into hormones, and usually the hormones are completely out of whack. And hormones are like a spider web. You can't just look at one, they are all interconnected. That also can do with nutrition. And, nutrition plays such a huge role in every aspect of our health. Food is medicine. That phrase has been around since before I was born. And, it's so true. And I think that we're coming back to realizing that the standard American diet is slowly killing us. And so that's a lot of the things that I'm getting is really just, I feel terrible and I really don't know. My doctor keeps telling me I'm fine. And also I have a lot of digestive issues, anxiety, depression, that goes right with it. Whether it's hormone imbalances, whether it's gut microbiome imbalances, it could be a combination of things, or environmental factors, but it all plays a role. So those are probably the biggest ones that I'm getting.
So this whole digestive thing, because it's become such a huge shift in the way we eat, the
Yes.
gluten-free diets, the dairy-free, the vegan. This was not something that we even talked about years ago. And nut allergies, all the food allergies. So what's different now? What has changed has something changed in the way we grow food? Like what is different?
What is different is definitely, that's one of them. The soil is so much more depleted of the nutrients that used to be there, but also the way that we grow our crops and stuff, as far as what we put on them. The pesticides, the modifications, the herbicides, all of these chemicals that we are putting on our food. It's a lot of times the gluten sensitivity is not because someone has an actual gluten allergy, but they may have an allergy to the pesticide that's put on it, or the chemicals that are used to grow the wheat. It may not be the actual wheat itself. I've had multiple patients, myself included, who went to Europe and had pasta and felt perfectly fine. And then when they came back to the United States and ate something that was glutinous, they felt very sick. So I think there's a lot of factors. Also, too, just the fact that so much of our food now is processed. So even if we're trying to, eat cleaner, or stick with more fruits and vegetables, well, we have to look at what's being put on them, but also what else are we eating other than just the fruits and the vegetables? What's in our meat? What is being given to the cows to alter the dairy products? What else are we ingesting that we may be sensitive to, that is causing an heightened inflammatory response in our body, that we no longer can handle foods that may have been okay before? Maybe someone ate dairy before and now they can't. Well, let's look at what else is going on in your body that's causing these reactions. So that's a multifaceted answer. It's a very deep question, but there's a lot of reasons. There's a lot of reasons.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. So again, there's a holistic approach. It's not just one thing. It could be different things for different people. It could be different aspects of different things.
Absolutely. That's,
Yeah.
That's similar. 2 or 3 people could have the same diagnosis, but the root cause of why they have it could be completely different.
So another thing that comes up a lot in the women that I speak to, and I know this isn't a medical show, but I'm just really curious about osteoporosis and how
Yeah.
it's treated in the medical world, in the traditional medical world, with usually some pretty strong drugs
Mm-hmm.
and often infusion of drugs. And I know there are a lot of side effects to these drugs, and a lot of women don't either know about them, or they don't really care because they're so scared of the effects of osteoporosis that they're willing to do whatever they can do. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm curious how you look at osteoporosis.
I always try to look at things as far as how can we correct this in the most natural way. So I would definitely talk about lifestyle changes. Are you doing impact activity? Are you lifting weights to start building the bone mineralization again to make it stronger? What are you doing dietary wise? There's so many sources of calcium in our food that people don't recognize. And if you start eating more foods that have higher levels of calcium in them, that's going to be great. But also, it's not just about calcium. It's about vitamin D. Are you taking the correct form of vitamin D? Well, now instead of just vitamin D by itself, you also need to take vitamin K. So there's a lot of there's actually a new product coming out that has higher doses, but the way that it is sourced and the way that it is made has very high doses of the proper forms of vitamin D, vitamin K, and a couple other things as well that I think is going to become a big product that is going to become very, very popular. I think physicians across the board are going to start using it. But things like that to build the proper nutrients so your body doesn't break down bone as much, lifestyle changes, dietary changes, and getting the right nutrients. That would be my approach. Let's do everything we can before we have to go the route of the medications or the infusions. But a lot of people aren't doing, in reality, they're really not doing enough or the right things to do that.
And it can be confusing because
Absolutely.
so much out there. It's like, do this, take more of
Absolutely.
that, chew this vitamin, do that. Uh,
Yes.
yeah, so that's why people like you are really valuable, because you can sort through it all and help people know what's their program that'll work for them.
But in addition to that, one program isn't going to be the same for the next person, even if they're both trying to accomplish the same things. There's so many factors that go into it. The same line of food is medicine. One person isn't or shouldn't be eating the same way as the next person either. So it needs to be very specific. Nutrition, I feel, should be as individualized as any treatment protocol. Mm-hmm.
Before we move on, I want to talk about something you said a few minutes ago about being heard.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd love to know if you have any advice for women who want to be heard more by the physicians in their lives. Like, is there anything that you would recommend to help them be heard?
Well, I feel, number one, if you feel like your physician isn't listening or is brushing you, under the rug or just not really hearing you, then you need a new one. Number one. If you like your physician and you want to stay with that physician, then I really think it's just a matter of being firm. Say, I understand what you're saying and I understand the direction that you want to take me. However, these are my thoughts and this is what I would like to do. I think that just, not being passive in just being always in agreement with what the physician says is number one. You have to stand up for yourself. This is your life. This is your health. They see many patients a day. And I'm not saying that they don't care about every one of those patients, but you can only speak for yourself. You are only one person. Your life is your own. And you have to be able to stand up and be firm and be your own advocate. If you are trying to do that and it's just not getting anywhere, then you definitely need another physician, bottom line. And there are many out there who will hear you.
Yeah, totally. But I like the way that you are telling women that they need to really speak up and be specific about what they need and want, because that's the way that you do get heard by the right people. Nobody can read your mind.
Absolutely. Women need to find their voice.
Yes.
And I think that is starting to happen. there's a lot of women's empowerment movements coming about. Women are starting to speak up more. And I think that that's fantastic. Um, I think part of that is also generational. And I think people, for example, like my mom, she'll talk to me about her doctor, and she'll talk to me about they weren't listening to me. And I said, well, did you say anything? Well, no. So I think that what you were talking about, the mentality of the doctor knows everything and whatnot. And it took her a little while to figure that out, but she's in a good place now and is good care. So that makes me happy because I'm far away from her. So, but I think part of that is also generational that we need to get past. But I also think there is a movement in healthcare that doctors are trying to get back to having that personal relationship.
Yeah.
They're recognizing the need and the importance of that. And, recognizing that the way things have been done, here for a while is just not working or healthy for anybody.
Yeah.
Whether you're a patient or a physician, they're not happy either.
Yeah, I'm seeing the change, the shift also. And because I've been advocating for myself for, 40 years, and I'm just now seeing changes. I think I shared this story with you when we spoke on the phone about a doctor who threw me to the curb and kicked me out of his practice in the middle of a crisis because I didn't want to see him because of the way he was talking to me, and told me that the procedure I was going to have wouldn't hurt at all. And it was a he was a gynecologist. He had no idea how much it hurt. And I had asked not to have him do the procedure. So, he was one of the partners. He was very old school. He was probably in his late 70s. I disagreed with him. You're out. There was no discussion. It is absolutely uncalled for and unacceptable to be treated that way. What is your vision for the future, and where are you headed? What do you dream for yourself and for others?
Oh, wow. I think my entire goal is just to get the information out there, to educate people, women. I'm starting to do more talks and presentations, and I love it just for the simple fact that I feel like I can walk away and at least probably one person in that room has more knowledge or understanding of, there is another way. Gosh, as far as from there, that could be, who knows how big that could get or where that will take me. I'm not sure. I love working with my patients. I don't even feel like I'm working. I love the interaction, and I love that I can spend time with them and get to know them and laugh with them. And if they want to cry, they're in a safe space, and do anything that I can. Or, if I don't have all the answers. No doctor has all the answers. Reach out to my resources. I'm going to try to find an answer if I absolutely can. I want to grow my practice in a way that, it isn't just, you don't have to be here locally to be able to see me. We can do this on a video chat. We can do this, but that doesn't mean that you can't access quality care. I just want to get the information out there that there is another way, and that you don't have to feel terrible. You don't have to live your life feeling like, well, my doctor says that I'm fine, so I guess this is just how I'm going to feel for the rest of my life. That's really my mission. That's really my goal, to give women a voice, like I said before, especially women. And I have male patients too who are wonderful. This is absolutely in no way a male bashing of any kind. But I just feel that women specifically have been so repressed for so long, and especially with healthcare, that it is my mission to help as many as I can in any way that I can. That's really, and wherever that takes me is where that takes me, and I'm open to it, and I look forward to it. But that's really ultimately what my goal is.
And it's a beautiful goal. And what the word that kept coming up for me when you were speaking is hope. Mm. You're giving women hope. When people feel stuck or they feel like there's no place to go, you're giving them hope that there is a better way, that there is a way out, that there's a way up, and a way back to their energy levels, their health. And I think, people say to me all the time, you're so energetic. And I take care of myself. I don't,
Exactly.
I do. I eat well. I exercise every day. I take care of my mind. It's not luck. It's purposeful. And
Yeah.
I have energy all day. Sometimes I can't fall asleep at night because I'm so energetic. But, that too, like there are things we can do to fall asleep better.
Yeah.
And knowing these things just helps the quality of life. Yeah.
Absolutely. And, I am very big on self-care.
Yeah.
Self-care is a word that is now being put out there all over the place, but self-care is so vital. And self-care has, again, there's many aspects to self-care. And what is self-care to one person may not be self-care to the next, but it's really a matter of taking care of yourself. You know, the mentality, especially moms where I come last. How are you going to be able to be your best for your family if you put yourself last all the time? Whether that means after the kids go to bed, you take a 10-minute bath with candles and music or whatever it is that you need to do to decompress. That's self-care, 10 minutes. Or you go for a walk, or you get appropriate health care, get your hormones balanced, get your energy up, get your libido up, whatever it is that you need to do, eating right, exercising, making time for yourself, going on a trip with your girlfriends, whatever it is. Self-care really, especially for women, the only thing that has to happen in order to enhance your quality of life. It's mandatory. And I preach it all the time. And sometimes I need to listen to myself more. But don't we all, right? Do
Right.
as I say, not as I do. I'm working on it. It's hard to build a business, but
Right. But it's
that's
good that you're mindful about walking your talk. And I
absolutely.
can tell you as a mom, self-care was at the bottom of my list. I
Yeah.
was so busy all the time just treading water.
Mm-hmm.
And for the next generation, I have a daughter who is a mom, and I
Yeah.
kept preaching this to her: take care of yourself, take care, because I saw her getting so tired from raising two young children.
Yeah.
And she finally gets it. She took a parenting course and she had to really write down, how am I taking care of myself? What am I not paying attention to? And she was like,
Yeah.
Mom, this coaching stuff really works. I'm like, yeah.
Yes. Right.
So
Right.
yeah, no, it's amazing. And what I also found, and this is something that a lot of people think, that self-care is selfish, and it
Mm.
is essential. And when I got divorced and I was taking better care of myself and running a business and taking care of a house and doing everything else, I was very clear with my kids: I need to do these things for myself. These are things that you need to do for yourself. And I was
Yes.
a much better role model for them. They started to respect me more than they ever did.
Exactly, exactly. I was just going to comment on that. You are teaching your kid, by doing that, you are teaching your kids good habits, and that
Correct.
mom needs time. And that is okay. That's a good thing. They respect it. And they're also going to respect if you are a little more calm because you're not so stressed and frazzled all the time. They're going
Yeah.
to recognize those things. I had a patient that is learning that now. And she said, it's amazing how much even my kids are more calm now that I'm taking a break from them. Mom needs her time. Okay. They give me my time, and now she's more calm, but even her whole family, her whole household is more calm. Mm-hmm.
You're not supposed to manage everybody else. And so the more empowered you make everybody else in your life, the more you can process, is this something I really need to respond to right now? What am I really feeling? I mean, the communication is a huge part of my work and empowerment through communication skills. So yes, when you manage your stress levels, everybody is affected. And
Absolutely.
yeah, it has far-reaching effects.
Yep.
So it is time now for the lightning round, and I'm
Oh
going
boy.
to ask you some quick pace questions to get some more insight into the mind of the woman of value, Amy Pearson.
Okay.
All right. So the first question is, I never thought I was blank enough.
Capable.
Hmm.
Able.
And
Um,
what changed that?
When I started improving my own health, I realized that I can do this. I can do this for other people. If I can do this for myself, I can definitely do this for other people.
And I'm sure the more you did it, the more you believed in
Qualified.
yourself.
That's the word. I didn't know if I was qualified. That's the word.
So a little bit of the imposter syndrome.
Absolutely.
So I have a secret to share, which is that the most capable women are the ones who have imposter syndrome. So it really is. It's like this perfectionist. I have this high bar and it's not high enough and I'm not there yet. And
Yes.
yeah, so
Yes.
it's part of the profile of this highly successful woman sitting in front of me. Okay, so what was the number one thing holding you back from becoming a woman of value?
Fear.
Fear of?
Absolutely. Everything. Fear of, what if I'm not good enough? What if I mess up? What if I don't have the right answers? What if it fails? What if I take this leap and it's the wrong thing? Fear of success, I guess.
Yeah.
Really?
Fear of not being perfect.
Yeah.
The first time out of the gate.
Yeah.
Because that's realistic.
And the reality is I never, ever, ever think that I'm perfect by any means, but yet we strive for that, right? Mm-hmm. We have those expectations.
Yeah. And I think the main thing is not to be fearless. This is something that gets my goat. This whole fearless movement. I think feeling fear is so normal, and it's part of being human. And I think it's about feeling the fear and moving through it and just doing it anyway.
Yep, I agree.
So what is something, Amy, that you had failed at in the past that taught you an important life lesson?
Trusting too many people blindly.
Oh.
And with my business, with business decisions, with my finances associated with my business. And I put that on me in that I gave them too much control. I didn't want to deal with it. You take it. I trust you. Go ahead. So that was a hard lesson. Now I know that I need to make sure that I pay more attention to those things and not just turn a blind eye because I think that I trust somebody. And not saying I can't trust people again. That's not what I'm saying, but just not so blindly.
Which is really what you were advocating for at the beginning of our talk today, which is to not trust your doctor blindly, not trust anyone blindly. I think that people have to earn our trust. And,
absolutely.
And I did the same. I mean, I can totally relate because I think it's through these business mistakes and the mistakes of trusting without qualifying that we learn what we need to qualify and what questions to ask and contracts to sign and to get more vigilant about protecting our own benefit, our own selves.
Yep, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
What is the best advice you can give to a woman who has given up her value in the past and she wants to step more fully into her value?
You have one life. And if you don't follow your heart, if you don't follow what that nagging thing is that you want to do, before you know it, it's going to be too late. And then what? No one can make you happy other than yourself. And if you ignore what is constantly something that's inside of you, whatever that is, if you continue to ignore it, how are you ever going to recognize your own happiness? Therefore, how is that going to translate to value if you're unhappy? If you're unhappy within yourself, how are you ever going to feel valuable? And that's not to say we can't have moments or periods of time where we feel anxious or down or, things like that. But if you aren't recognizing and being honest with yourself, how are you ever going to feel valuable? So I think just really listening to yourself and and going after whatever it is, that you feel like you really want to do, or that you have a calling for, or something that you need to fulfill. You need to follow and listen to that, whether it's big or small, because once you fulfill that, you're going to feel valuable.
I love how you started that with you have one life.
Mm.
You only have one life. And I think people just kind of go, yeah, there's another tomorrow.
Right.
Until you run out of tomorrows. And
Exactly.
so, yeah, let's wake people up here, because you're living proof of following your calling, even though it's scary, even though it's jumping into something new. And I think that, this is a great example of look how lit up you are with the work you're doing and how many people you're affecting because you took that emotional risk of doing something that felt like a pull.
Yeah. I think too, I guess to continue that answer, if I can, just for a minute, everybody has value. Everybody has value. You have to find what's going to make you feel like you are offering or doing something that expresses the value. It's not really how others see you that's going to make you feel valuable per se. It is digging deep within yourself and recognizing what's going to make you feel valuable. So whether that's helping your neighbor, do whatever, if that's what's going to make you feel valuable, then there's value in that. Whatever it may be, everybody has something within themselves that will make them feel valuable. So you have to listen to that. It could be anything.
Yes, it could be anything. And I think that that's a really great reminder, because a lot of people think it has to be big. It has to be, I'm changing my career, or I'm moving to a new country. And it can be as small as helping your neighbor. It can be as small as doing one act of kindness a week, whatever it brings meaning to you. And you also mentioned another important point, which is that our value doesn't come from what other people think of us. And
Right.
boy, is that an important reminder, because once you stop thinking that, once you stop waiting for other external approval, your whole life shifts, because it's you who has to approve. And
Yes.
that's why you have to value yourself and do those things. So yes, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And now for my last question, which is the big one. How would you like to be remembered, Amy?
Oh, wow. Just as someone who is kind, someone who is genuine. If it gets to the point where someone can say, she changed my life, great. If not, okay. But as long as someone can say, she helped me, that's how I'd like to be remembered. Yeah.
And this circles us back to the very first question I asked you, which is, what is a woman of value? And you said somebody who gives to others and makes a difference in other people's lives. And you are doing that.
Thank you.
Yeah. So Amy, how can people find you?
So my website, www.dramypearson.com, has my contact information, my email, drpearson@gmail.com. And I do consultations for free. And it doesn't matter where you are. If you have a question, if you want to talk to me about something, I'm happy to talk to you. I will never bring anybody on as a patient if I don't feel that I can really help them. I wouldn't waste someone's time or money, but I would definitely try to find someone else who could. But I'm willing to talk to anybody for free.
Great. And that'll all be in the show notes when the show airs.
Great, thank you.
So, yeah, thank you so much, Amy, for sharing your story of what it means to be a woman of value, and for really being such a beautiful example of someone who followed her passion, who helps others, who listens, who cares deeply. You can really feel your big heart and how authentic and transparent you are. And I just think anybody who comes to see you is very lucky to have her life transformed through the work you do together.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I appreciate this time, again, just to get the information out there. It's what I love. And even from this podcast, if one person feels helped in any way, then that's what I want to do. So thank you so much, Sandy. I really thank you for this time.
If you would like to step more fully into your value, grab a free copy of The Ultimate Guide to Becoming a Woman of Value on my website, thewomanofvalue.com. Just click the link at the top of the homepage. And if you haven't already done so, be sure to click the subscribe button in your listening app. And if there's something in this episode that inspired you, please share it with others, because the more we share these inspirational stories, the more women of value we will have in this world. I'll see you next time.